I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming out and joining tonight. It is true, I've been a big fan and participant with the Tryon International Film Festival for many years now. And of course, Ashley is our much beloved host here and also at the festival. And I don't know what everyone's connection is here with the festival, but the subject tonight is going to be making films and what to do with them, basically. So a little bit about me. I've been making films since 2005. Before that, I did play production, so I got really good at writing, then producing, then directing plays, original work, and that got me very excited about how do I capture my plays. But then it became like, what can I do to do filmmaking, which is like the next logical step, at least for me it was. But all those skills helped out with organizing people, places, things, all the things you need for filmmaking. I thought it'd be good to go kind of cover a few examples. I could also talk a little bit about what I stick in my bag when I'm going to a gig. I do media production for a living, and I do some part-time filmmaking for a living, but that's not my regular job, of course. So media production, I do keep busy doing that. And that's something I learned early on with doing stage plays is that if you want to capture that with maybe multiple cameras or whatever, you need to know how to do something with it because you've got the footage. Now, what do you do, right? So that's what got me into editing, and that's what got me into doing a better job capturing things visually, and then with lights, and then with audio. And of course, at first as a filmmaker, I was a director and a writer and a producer. Those are kind of my special skills. And then over the years, I'd say even the last 10 years, I got into cinematography, editing, like advanced editing, and then things like audio or sound design. I do some sampling with scores, so I can do a decent score through sampling. Though if I want to do like a really good job with that, I've got people that do music that I lean on to create the compositions for the piece. Let's see, and I don't know how much y'all want to interact, but we got some people in the lobby here. Does anybody want to tell me what they are interested in doing with filmmaking?
Yeah, so with filmmaking, mine's kind of shifted a little bit more towards like community and producing and being that thing. But I do notice being in the community, there's a lot of spots that need to be filled. And so I sometimes want to jump over to that or jump over to this. And so I'm just kind of like, I need to stay focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, it's something I love about filmmaking, especially. So I consider myself, I'm going to present myself as a filmmaker, which is what I define that as someone who does all the pieces. So the guy that can do the casting and do the writing, find the locations, shoot the thing, edit the thing, do all the things at a good level. And but I've also done a lot of shoots where we've got people that are in charge of all those things. So people that do the the editing and the lighting and all the things. So and I love both formats. I think that it's really cool to have the ability to do a lot of the what makes the film happen yourself. But also, I love it when you bring people together as community artists to create the greater vision, and you're going to have that no matter what, one way or another, because you've got actors and you've got, they're going to bring their own special touches. But I thought it'd be interesting to look at this from kind of both angles. I've got, a big team on my back. What am I doing with them versus I'm doing the whole thing myself? And one of the examples I thought I'd talk about, and I was talking to Ashley about this before the get together, is there's a short film called Another Good Day. And what I did, it's a half-day shoot. It's a 6-minute movie. We kind of laid, so I had a script, I had the actresses. One was the writer and co-director. So I also like to do that. I do team up to direct on occasion. And then I was the guy who did everything else as far as the camera, the lights, the whatever we needed. And in this case, it was interesting because I went to Dubuque, Iowa, and so I had to pack light. And I brought just a tripod, camera body, and 2 lenses, some task cams. And I brought a Rode camera-mounted microphone so I can get some ambient sound. And then I just used the task cams, which record, the wire to record right to the hip or whatever. I didn't transmit that audio, so I could have, be sure I had a good copy, and you can listen to them on the headphones and stuff, make sure they sound good. And so that's the example of like going with the bare bones, and then you're looking for things like composition, positioning the actors to capture the good light, because you're not creating it per se, and taking advantage of the world around you. And one thing I think is really cool about that is your storytelling kind of expands rather than contracts. You feel like these are limitations, but they're actually ways to there's a million ways you can do something. So when you show up with just minimal tools, you're really focused on how you're going to make it look, whereas I've been on set with 20 crew and we're just trying to get our checklists checked off. So we're ready for the next shot more than we're focused on making this the most beautiful shot possible. Whereas with just myself, I can do something like that. What I'd like to do is I'll show you real quick. I'm gonna share my screen. There's my Zoom login. And also, once you're done with the film, we'll talk about this too. Where do you put it? I use Film Freeway. I think anyone else filmmaking does. It's just the thing to use now. Has anyone not used it? Anyone here? Want to raise your hand? Anybody needs to know about it? Well, go to filmfreeway.com and you can have your own personal page like I've got here. Plus, you can also have a page for every single film you do, and it'll keep it forever, at least until the world ends or whatever. So you've got all your wins and all your posters all in one spot. You don't have to like mess around and look around for things. So for this one, I can go to like my projects, and I can go to these projects. Some are not released yet, so you're seeing some sneak previews here. And then other ones like Another Good Day, it's right here. So I can keep track of, you can actually play the video for yourself at least, or you can give people permission to see it. They got the trailer there. You can make it public. So mine's public for people who want to see the trailer or learn about it or see the awards. So you've got like an automatic web page. Plus it's the same thing you send to the festivals for consideration. So you don't have to work after you set it up. You're kind of done, which is amazing. So in this case, I've got, my awards here, but back to the point. So the film itself is, I'll show you just the trailer. It's a 6-minute movie. So as you can imagine, the trailer's not going to be gigantic here. So this is the one where I went to Dubuque, Iowa and shot it. And so we've got, basically, I'm working with compositions. I've got 2 lenses. I've got my portrait lens, and then I've also got my 25 to 120 lens. So I can basically do, and we're in bright sun. Everything's, key light sun. So we've got, even when we're, obviously outside, but also here at the doorway. We don't show all the scenes right here, but so in this case, let me just go through this real quick. Oops, with the sound off. There we go. I'm gonna zip through. So like here, this is in the Hotel Dubuque lobby during the film festival. This is the Julian Dubuque International Film Festival, which I love to go to every year. Trion's my favoriteest film festival, in case you're wondering, but this one is my other favorite in Iowa, and this is in their lobby. So since I'm a participant at the festival, I was able to go and use the lobby for shooting this scene. We shot at a wine shop down the street. We shot at that spot by the bridge, and we also shoot at that house. And that house we shot at is actually my host when I was there for the film festival, and he's one of the original organizers of the film festival. So you can see how everything's kind of connected, right? Like it's everyone. It's really, the lesson there is like it's good to connect with the people that love to do it and to help do the craft so you can get access to things. If you're working with people that are reluctant, just move on, because it's not worth it. It's like, yeah, I can use my house, but just take off your shoes, don't sneeze, don't touch anything. It's like, okay, I need to use a different house, because there's gonna be houses where like, yeah, just stomp on everything, I don't care, and that's the place you want to shoot at. And of course, the goal is to leave the place in better shape than you found it, but you still don't want someone like, dying every time you're doing anything in their house. And so this is the wine store, and or it's like a little bistro kind of style with wine and stuff. And this is all natural light through the window that you can't see. So we're able to capture this beautiful image just from natural lighting. So I basically did not do any additional lighting for this whole short that was needed to make it happen.
We had one it was kind of like a historic cabin house, and so they were particular about it. So we had to put fernies down everywhere.
Yes.
To protect the floors. So.
And this is a cabin, you said?
It was like a cabin-esque. It was a house, but it was like built like a cabin.
Cabin style. Gotcha. Yes, I tell you what, man. I've done plenty of that myself. And if you got people that can do it, that's great. If you have to do it yourself, it's not so great. Okay, I'm gonna take this off of here. Oops, there. Okay, great. So this is kind of the lesson here, is that if you get, as long as you got a script and you got a couple of people that really want to do something, you can even shoot with your phone. You can make a short film. So then after that, it's just about advancing your craft. And it seems like every little bit you want to add to it. Let's see, you want a little bit better lighting, want a little bit better of this, a little better sound. Maybe I want a boom pole guy. Maybe I want makeup. Maybe I want special effects makeup. And I'm doing all this stuff this Sunday, by the way. I've got to shoot this Sunday. We've got a whole team together for it. It's zombie speed dating. So it'll be zombies and speed dating. Let's stop.
I think everyone here has resources to do those types of things, so that's great. It's right along.
Yeah, so in this case, it's a totally volunteer shoot, and that's the other side of this story, right? So my roots are going to be in making plays and then making enough money to cover the costs when we show it to a live audience. That's my growing ups with production work. And then filmmaking, of course, originally was like that too. It's like whatever we can donate ourselves, people can donate locations, things themselves. So part of what made me successful to, as far as like having the opportunities and be able to do great craft, was just meeting people and like a never-ending charm offensive. But that requires a lot of energy, a lot of passion of its own. to convince people to work on something cool. And of course, a lot of folks here, including yourselves, I'm sure, want to also get paychecks. So that's the other side of things. So some shoots I have are going to be paid, some are not. It really just depends on the situation. If I'm doing something for charity, or if I'm doing like a cute short that I really want to participate in, that could be that.
Reluctance from people in volunteer positions versus paid positions, or people that just think they.
Well, it really depends, like what people are after. So if you are working with like a seasoned actor who that's just what they do, that you just like maybe you paid them for a shoot and then you're like, oh, I got this really cool role, but I don't have any money for you. They might just turn it down because they need to get paid. I know those kind of actors. But also I know people that just love my work, and so if and there's also an understanding that short films don't make any money, they cost money. If you're doing something like even prospective stuff, people are expecting some sort of paycheck. But if you're doing something that's for making some awesome art that maybe you'll get a little play at the festivals, then you'll get a lot more participation, especially if you can do something like, hey, I just want to shoot for a day. I'm not going to make you shoot for a month. It's way easier to convince someone to help you than, this is going to take a year of your life. You may not even like it when it's over with. That's a whole other argument, right? And that's kind of what play production was. It's like 6 months, every play of nonstop work. And then, we always liked it, but it was, the experience, but it's that's a lot of time to invest in something. Whereas a short film, you can be like, hey, we just want to shoot this, like Zombie Speeding this Sunday will be basically a 5-hour block for all the extras, and everyone else is an 8-hour block, and then we're done with the whole movie. So,
Do you find
but the movie will be
that,
5 minutes. So, what's that?
Do you find because of that you tend to work with a lot of the same people?
I can. So if I'm doing like commercial work, I've got some people I work with like Duke Arts and with precision marketing partners. It's like, so that's the company that gets me jobs with their clients. They cover lots of people. And then Duke Arts, they do a lot of different things. They'll hire me for different things for promotional purposes. So that's all that kind of world. But for when I'm doing the independent filmmaking, it really it depends. There's definitely some artists I like to talk to when we have a little bit of budget. But I've also, like, just over the years, met really talented people that have not been able to have that much success with acting and that sort of thing. So they this is an opportunity for them to create great work that for the reels or for just more networking or for the joy of it. So I do enjoy that kind of thing too. I get hired to do films as well, but on occasion I like to make one that's just, about the experience with other artists, so to speak. And you can definitely do this. And some people will there's a lot of people want to make movies. So if you're trying to find a team, you've got no money, you could have a friend that does the boom pole. You could have a friend that acts. It could be a terrible outcome, who knows, but it's over time, that's part of the deal. It's like over time you'll work with these people and they'll get pretty good at it, and you can tell good stories. And there's so much good equipment now, even with our phones and some cheap mics we can get at the store, like things like the DJI mic. You can send this thing right to your camera, and it's I've got a few of these for in a pinch. You can hide them inside the shirt here.
Oh yeah,
and they're good. They're good audio. They're really good. For like, I use it more for commercially stuff, but like, there's a lot of real simple tools that do have really good results. Yeah, I like to use these for behind the scenes. The Pocket 3, you've all seen this, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least you know what I'm doing. The Pocket 3 is great for behind the scenes, 4K, super stable. This gimbal on here is rock solid. So I got 3 of these. So I'll use these at like music video shoots or for live events. So you can put them right on the stage or right behind the people. But you can also do that at your short film. So these are some things you got to keep in mind. When you schedule even a one-day shoot for your short film, you want to get as much out of it as you can, because it's just one experience, right? So if you can set up things like this to capture behind the scenes, just let it go wide the whole day. This thing will run for 5 hours at 4K. No problem. Once you do the attached battery for it. And beautiful footage you've got, so you can do like behind the scenes clips later. You can do, stuff for your socials, that kind of stuff if you want to like really talk about what you're doing. If you behind the scenes photography is nice too. You can always tell everyone on set, the crew and the cast, hey, take photos, but make sure I get a copy of all these, because you might be able to use these for promoting or for stuff for your film freeway page. Something else you want to do when you're doing a shoot is a poster. So think ahead of time what this poster shot looks like. Take advantage of the nice way you've lit a shot that you want for your poster shot that you're doing for the scene anyway. And then you can take time to get a great poster shot using an actual still camera, still from the video, but grab the full quality, image. See, you got to take the lens cap off though. All right, there we go. Don't forget to take out the lens cap. So you can get some really nice images you can use for your poster. There's a lot of really good tools for making posters for you these days. I've used it myself. I am admitting right now on a recorded workshop. I just needed a cute little poster for a. I went to Cambodia last year and I did this bike tour on Silk Island. Well, it's actually a group that they do these biking outings. And so I went with the group and I recorded a bunch of it and I created a short film from it, just of my experience. But I wanted a poster. So all I had was a still image of the whole group standing with each other, hanging out. And I'll show you what I came up with here. Check this out here real quick. Oops, let me go to share.
How much do you find
Let's
it
see.
valuable to like see attendance when you go and see
Oh,
see
totally.
the event? Yeah.
Yeah, so the things like with the go to my projects, I'll show you real quick here. So this right here, this is what I came up with for the poster. It's right here. So this is the group standing there. We were actually on like a bridge, but AI decided, well, let's put some palm trees and this river and these cool houses in the background, and it ended up being like a really cool poster. I think this one is it's called I can't remember which one this one is. This is one of these online ones you can sign up for. Anyway, if you need a cool poster and you don't want to like make it yourself, like I made most of my posters and they take a couple hours and it's painful but satisfying. Um, things like this. I spent like forever making this. This is a comedy. Uh, just getting it to look right. It takes a long time. So anyway, it's okay to cheat a little bit. It really is up to you how much you want to use AI and how much you don't. In this process. Does anyone else have questions about the short film making process that you'd like me to go into before I meandering in another direction?
So this kind of merges the two topics we're talking about. When you're going into shooting your film, what are the things that you're considering for festivals? So how to pretty good festival run, you do pretty well at festival, and what are you thinking before you shoot your films for specific festivals, or what are those?
Well, that's a good question. What am I considering? There's two main scenarios. One is, am I being paid or am I doing it because I just really love an idea? In both cases, I want to love the ideas. What tends to happen is if I get hired for something, I try to position myself to have creative input so that I can help additional shaping of the film to have more of a social impact or some really good hooks in the beginning, some message in there, or at least making people think a little bit while they get entertained, and looking for more ways to do interesting shots, push my limits with the shots so that people will be, really stuck watching the screen as much as possible. And there's different ways to do that. So I guess what I'm saying is I like things that I know. It starts with a script. If I see a script and I really love what's happening there, then that's going to be the thing that inspires me to create what I know that the audiences are going to like. And I've had a lot of experience, like you said, Ashley, with I think I made over 100 short films. And my first one going back over a decade ago, Wolf Call, is about these two guys are interviewed by a journalist about the murder of Emmett Till. And it ended up being this gigantic hit as far as like the style of it. So in real life, it's one actor playing all three roles, but he does it so well, and he does this as a one-man show in real life that you lose track of this. You really think these are different people, and it's like a 12-minute short film. It's just them sitting around the table talking, almost all of it. They're smoking, they're talking. There's a reel-to-reel in there. It's like a 1950s kind of setting, and this became a big thing. And why did it? Because this is like the worst thing ever, right? The indie film incarnate is two people sitting down and talking because they don't want to have to try to figure out how to have them walk around or change camera angles. They want to just sit them down and have them say the lines so we can film this thing. So it's that classic style of like, someone just starting out doing an indie film. But what made this different is the story is so powerful and the moment is so powerful of them confessing to this murder and how the interviewer gets them to confess to it. And this, of course, is a true story. And that also, so it's a true story. It's got this crazy hook of one guy playing all three roles convincingly. It's got lots of atmosphere, and that just really drove it as far as like something that made people interested in watching it. And then we were inspired by this. It played at maybe 100 film festivals all over the world, and we got really inspired by this, and we made a feature film based on the same Emmett Till story. That Mike Wiley is the lead actor. He plays all 36 roles in the movie. So the whole movie, feature film, he's playing all the roles. You have to see it to believe it. And that also did even better. So it was like just huge. So in that case, it's about picking a story that would resonate, have impact, and then creating an interesting way of telling the story.
Is that a reason of like a creative storytelling decision or a challenge yourself kind of decision? And to follow that up, what kind of challenges or things do you do to make it not two people just sitting in a room?
Sure. Well, so this does happen, of course. Even regular films will have moments where there's this long periods of time where people are either talking, they can be standing talking, sitting talking. You can break it up by moving them around, like blocking them in the room as they get through the conversation. Part of it's camera shot, angles. So often what I'll do for a short film now, like I'll do this weekend, is I'll shoot with 3 main cameras. So I'll do like a medium wide, like let's say it's a 2 shot, 2 people. Then there'll be like one like full person, and then one that's like really tight, all in the same thing. And sometimes I'll do like the wider shot with 2 singles simultaneously. I really like to I like to do longer takes because I'm not working with like mastermind actors. They're all good, but they're not like, they aren't necessarily people who can like grab the middle of the line and like really deliver exactly what they need to do. So I like letting them have a chance to get into the lines and but to not waste their good energy because they're going to be expending it every time you do this. I want to do the multi-camera shot so that we can cut into that and we can use both their reactions that are happening. And if they're really inspired and it's really good, I want to make sure I get all that good stuff and can use it. So really for that, it's like the multi-camera setup. There's a little more challenge with making sure the light's right if you're shooting 2 directions at the same time, and composition, kind of issues. But that also can work with like just two people side by side, and then it's about like just getting a lot of different angles that you can cut to. So if you need in that case, the momentum is dictated by the how fast you're cutting, or the sequence of cutting. So for instance, in Another Good Day, there's a scene towards the end where there's 5 camera angles, but all of them are like 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. They're all like longer takes that and they don't repeat. So that's what makes that interesting. Like you're just constantly being put into a new environment, even though it's the same place. But that's what kind of does steadily getting closer, But these are the things that can help you make your otherwise static, boring shot get really dynamic. Because you could just put them in the fishbowl. You all know the fishbowl technique, right? That's basically a stage play where you put up the camera and it sees the whole stage, and that's your whole movie. Just there's the stage, guys. I got it. And to avoid that, just creating a lot of dynamics with the camera angles helps a lot. And getting in tight is nice too, especially if you've got some actors that have some really good job with expression and what they're doing. Or if you need to cut away from, if they're not delivering as well as you want them to, you need to cut away to a good expression, you can do that. So, and then you got to decide, do I want to just see these guys talking the whole time, or am I going to see some interesting layers of perspective? Like, am I going to see like what's happening at the table in front of them, then they're in the middle, and then behind them something's happening with the guy in the background. So these are all things you can do to make it more dynamic and more dimensional or deeper perspective types of things. Yeah, as much showing as possible. And I've gotten way more into that over the years where I've got some movies where there's very little talking, and that's my funnest time, is to just tell the story without them having to tell the story, And even if they do a lot of talking, I don't want them to tell the story. I still want them to, I want the story to be experienced.
Silas says, how many energy drinks is safe to have on set?
Wow. Are you trying to say I'm hyper? Is this a comment about my hyperactivity?
Fun questions.
Yeah, no, totally. So, man, so it's a great question. I'll often on film sets, especially when I'm shooting, I will often, or directing, or both, I'll often be very energized from that itself. It'll be around the time where the very last couple of takes or setups are happening, where the energy just plummets, like, oh, we're almost done. Okay. Then you like start slowing way down. And that's the perfect time for a monster.
After lunch. Yeah, I feel.
After lunch as well. A lot of times I skip lunch, which I know is not healthy. I don't promote it, but I can't eat on shoot days for some reason very well. But yeah, there's no bad time to have a monster, in my opinion.
His other question is, how do you identify which festivals are worth submitting to?
Oh, this is a great question. Yes. So the part of it is past experience. So for me, I've got festivals like TRIFF International Film Festival. I want to make sure they see my newest and greatest, and hopefully they'll like it. So I'll always send to them. Places you've got kind of established a relationship with is helpful because not that they'll automatically choose you, but they might take it a little more seriously than the ghost film from the other side of the world, So you get they'll take a close look at it, see if it's a good fit for them, because they everyone wants to bring people to the festivals. They don't want to have just work from people who'll never show up. That's not helpful. So it's good to have a relationship with the festivals. I like to submit to ones that are close to me, whether I've been to them or not, so I can probably go, because that's part of the point. Go get recharged, meet people. If it's more local, you'll meet people you can work with. You can call on if you need for a gig, but then there's gonna be some like you got to decide though, if you think you have an amazing film, if you're gonna do the Sundance route, or are you gonna do the cool festival route, like where you want to start. Because either one, if you start with a Sundance route, that means you're going to go for your Academy qualifying festivals, and they want you to go to them first. So if you're going to try, you got to go to them first and get rejected. Like everyone gets to get rejected. I've been in Academy festivals, but it's really hard, and it's not a lot of them on my portfolio because a lot of times they want. It's almost like trying to sell your film. You're like, you need a bigger actor, you need someone to draw attention for them to care, and they have a few free slots they have to give to their friends. Yeah, it just is the way it is, you know. So they'll have, like, you'll be your film against 1,000, basically, is what it ends up. So
Yeah, we have
yeah.
$400 sunk into applying to those films and nothing to show for it.
Exactly, yeah, that happens all the time, and it's, you know, you have to try because you know you got something beautiful, but you could just go straight to the ones that you feel confident about, and you also can research them. Like if you do a social justice film, you can definitely go on Film Freeway and search for social justice films, right? And you can look for ones that are in your area through that. They've got good filtering tools to find ones that are better suited, and you're always welcome to ask. Like I will send out a message to one that's like a perfect fit, say, hey, look, I think this film is a perfect fit. And they might give you a discount too, which is great too. So they say, hey, do you offer any discounts? Sometimes alumni get discounts, by the way, if you get into a festival, and they either give you a free entry or discounted. So repeating is good because you sometimes get free entries. And that helps the budget.
Do you try to have some thematic thing in your film that would help you figure out which festivals to go in, like it's nature or it's social justice or something like that?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. So like something like the Emmett Till movie, you know, I'm going to go to social justice places, but a lot of regular festivals were very interested in it because they do want to have things that people talk about. They want to have a great Q&A. You know, a lot of people want to talk about different things. Social issues are one. Some, you know, people don't want to touch. Like I did a film about gun violence, short. It's like a 2-minute film that I thought was really good, but it was kind of it was a few years back, and there was a lot of, you know, politics around that subject at that time, so we got a lot of rejections. Internationally, people like a lot of selections, but locally not so much. So that's another thing that happens because it's not just there's a selection committee, but there's also, like, you know, people don't want to talk about certain things. It does happen too. And then part of it's just, you know, it's just the format. Like, you know, maybe this festival this year wants to focus more on this or that, you know, so that's also part of their decision making. And they'll usually say that in Film Freeway when you look under what they're looking for. So if you want to double check that and make sure you're not just sending them something they aren't going to pick no matter what, then that's helpful. But yeah, and then things like there's some that only take surf movies, there's some that only take horse movies, right? So they're pretty obvious, the ones that are only taking a certain kind of movie. Same with scary movies. Most of them will have scary names for film festivals, so you'll know. But they're only doing horror movies or whatever. So
Rob,
Or
but when
yeah,
you are, oh, sorry, it's
you got it.
sure when you are together, and it's a film that you're doing, like things that you prioritize, and then what are the things that you decide that,
what am I looking for my own film as far as
yeah, like what are your priorities?
priorities? Well, I definitely want good acting, and it can be amateurs. So one way to, of course, filter that is to post through Actors Access or other places where you can get people to submit video submissions. So you can kind of, then you can see your work come to life, which is really cool. Say, hey, this person gets it. I tend to be a little, since I know a lot of people, sometimes I write for something and I know someone would be a good fit. So I want to give them a first crack at it rather than having 100 people, you know, try and fail automatically. I don't like to be the guy that's going to just make people submit for the heck of it. But I do like to give people opportunities because there's been more than once where I was like, I know this person's perfect, but then I'll get another submission and be like, oh my gosh, this person is perfect, like really perfect. And like, you don't know until you see it sometimes. So it's great to see it. So yeah, great acting is really important. You know, I can do most of the things now. So if it's my own passion project and I've got time to do the shoot without a lot of help, I can do that. But if I want to do something more complicated, you know, I do want to get, you know, it'd be great to have a sound person, an AD that knows what they're doing. Like I said, as soon as you start adding people, then it becomes the complication level starts going up and up and up, you know, with the scheduling and keeping people happy. You're kind of a therapist and a counselor too in some cases. You'll be surprised what kind of situations you run into. And yeah, you got to feed all the people. So you got 100 people. That's great. Maybe they're even doing it for free, but you got to feed them still, so it's not free. You got to feed them, water them, snack them. But no, as far as like things I have to have, great locations, great props if there's any. If there's any kind of CG thing, I just need to have a great kind of way to make it work with my means. Like, so I've got CG people, but I have to give them what they need to do their thing. So like this zombie film, a different zombie film I did called Five Stages of. It's been doing great, like 33 film festivals, all the scary film festivals in North Carolina have played it. And there's a sequence though that really sells it towards the end where the guy's transforming in real time. So you like it's like right in on his face, like tight, and his eyes are wide open. And so our FX guy, he did a lot of really good practical stuff, but he had to use some special tools to make his eyes transform to zombie eyes in real time. Like, but not immediately. It's like a nice long stretch where it's just nonstop take of like 20 seconds of him transforming until it was like so good. It's kind of like I don't know, maybe not Thriller, but like that's the idea where you're just like mesmerized by seeing this guy transform. You can't stop looking at him, and then you realize that he's become a zombie. So like you get kind of like suddenly aware that what's just happened, and then then someone's come home and you're like worried for them. So that's kind of that's the thing I like to do, is to create the ability for everyone that needs to do something to this film to do something with it. And the same goes with music. When you have a good score composer, that's the best thing ever. You won't know until you do it. Like I did a whole movie where I sampled it and I loved it. I gave it to my score composer out of LA. And he said, "Hey, just let me give it a shot." It's like a 40-minute movie. I said, "Okay, if you want to spend the time on it." This is years ago, but this is the first time I worked with him. He scored the whole thing and it was amazing. I was like, my gosh, this is what it is, right? Because it's like one giant song, the whole movie. It's like, ebbs, it flows, it comes up, it comes down. You watch any movie you love. I guess I should say this. So the layers of filmmaking are the script, and then the director recreates it, the cinematographer recreates it, the editor recreates the story, and then the score composer also recreates the story. And you could argue that other people do too, and of course the director's there to like make sure the ship stays on the right path the whole time. That's their main goal. And so that's what made it so magical. So as far as score composing, I want to create moments where they can like breathe and bring in the music, so you have to have those pauses, you have to have those thoughtful moments, maybe that scenic shot that kind of lingers, that kind of thing.
I did another question. So you've been in a lot of festivals, which means you've been to a lot of festivals. What are some of the best things that you've seen in terms of like what done really intelligent, or some really good Q&A answers that answered? And then on the flip side, what are mistakes you've seen?
Sure, I can start with the mistakes. Now, these days, a lot of the festivals get better quality stuff. So this doesn't happen as much. Sometimes they have like a local section, or they'll have like local films, have a block for that. And sometimes they'll have some of this and that. But the ones that are poorly made, you can tell pretty immediately, because it's like either bad lighting, kind of like my lighting now, or it's bad audio, like that's the dead giveaway, bad acting, but good heart maybe. That's why they're being presented. The good ones, man, there's so many I go to now that I'm just honored to be in the film block, because it's like all of them are great. It's like they're all like riveting, beautifully shot. A lot of these guys are using like really fancy cameras, the Alexa or the red dragons and all that. And so but it really comes down to like how well they've been edited and acted in. They get some really good actors, and so I'm really impressed. So that's why it's great to go participate in your film block, meet these other filmmakers, because they're doing really good stuff, and you should definitely check it out. And Tryon International Film Festival is a great example of this. They present really great work, and they have really great industry experts there to talk to you about it. So that's at the top of my list every year. And it should be yours too.
Is there a goal beyond the festival win?
Festival win. Oh man, well, money's good. Festival win with money. That's one stage up from there.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. So what happens next? There's a few things people do with shorts. Often what I'll do, if I get hired to do a short, often the story is they want to get like a sizzle reel, they want to do a trailer, and then they want the short. And they want to use these to drive people towards their feature film script. So I've done this multiple times, or towards their idea for a TV series or something, and then they'll go on and try to pitch these things. I try to stay out of all that because it's a complicated world, though I always, am interested in being available. If they want to start producing something, they can always call me and start making the thing right away if someone's interested, So, but there's other more tenable goals. For instance, I've had a lot of work that's been on some different platforms, short films. Some of these are probably not even around anymore, but I got to sell a lot of work to HD Shorts back in the day when they first came out. And it's something where you get a few $100s per short, but it adds up, and you get and it pays for some of what you're doing. Like I said, there is some chance to win some money at these festivals. In the past, I've used that to fund my film festival. needs. And if you do have a client that wants to sell this as a bigger project, they will, that would be the other purpose. And that's the way you could sell it too. Like, hey, if we do this, I'm going to edit you a short, a sizzle reel, a trailer, and then you can go pitch this to the big networks or whatever you want to do. So that is a selling point if you're trying to look for clients that want to make shorts. Here, baby.
Oh yes.
The real thing? What? Or is it the real thing?
Okay, Rob, I have another question for you. So when do you just like how many festivals do you typically, and when do you make the decision that it's time to stop something that specific?
That's a great question. So some festivals have a time limit, like they'll say you can only be 1 year old, and the date starts the first selection. So that's when you'll choose that as your date, as your finish date. At least that's what I do. So then that way you've got 1 full year for some of these festivals that will accept it. Some will accept 2 years old or less. Some have no limits. So that's just something to think about. I'd say it really depends. Like I've got a lot of festivals I'd like to go to, and so and some of them I get discounts at and that kind of thing. So I do want to make something that I really like Another Good Day is a good example, and kind of send it to everybody just so I can go and have something to present myself at the festival and talk about it, then have a chance to network a little bit more, because you're going to meet clients, you're going to meet people you can work with, that kind of thing. So for me, at least locally, I try to spread out. I try to go to a lot of the festivals, and I like to have work at the festival for networking and for professional reasons. Other than that, if you've got one that just people love, like you start winning and you just want to like blow a bunch of thousands of dollars on festivals, then just have fun. I mean, it's a short life. That was my experience with Wolf Call back in the day. Like everyone loved it, and I spent back then I couldn't afford anything, by the way. So this is all like my bread and milk money to send it everywhere. And I did win some money, but which helped pay for it. That was it's really addictive. So you got to be careful about that too. Don't just send it everywhere anyway, because if you can't go, it's not really worth it. But some festivals will do things for you, like in North Carolina, things like Tryon will have like great workshops. It's always worth it. Google Loris will fly you over there. They'll put you in a hotel all week. So that's awesome. And so there's kind of perks like that sometimes that you can kind of look at too, for reasons to go around and network and not have to spend a lot out of pocket. But yeah, as far as the life of a film, it really kind of just depends, how far you want to take it, or until something better or something else comes along that takes your interest. Now, if you're trying to like do a feature or something, you want to like try to get it on Amazon Prime and be done, you might be looking at just doing a couple festivals, like a couple bigger ones, maybe win an award and then get it on there and try to get an audience. Or you can try to ride that, tiger longer and see if you can get more laurels just to help promote it once you do platform it. And it's becoming easier to platform stuff, but it is very hard to make any money doing it. So the more attention you can give to the film, the better. It's kind of like a multi-answer.
Do you find any particular films categories usually get accepted more? I know there's a lot of dramas out there, so it's a lot more competition. A lot of horrors out there, a lot more competition. So doing comedy or doing an action film or something like that, do you find the categorical ease or the time limit ease in getting into these festivals?
That's a good question. I think that family friendly is a good way to go, because you can still be pretty raw. You just keep the F word out. That's a lot of times that's all you got to do. Like one F word, you've just taken yourself out of the family friendly category. So like in my movie Another Good Day, there's an F word, but I bleeped it and made it look like she was just breathing it instead of saying it. And it seems to have worked. No one's complained yet. And so that really does help, because they will put it in front of, any general audience, which is nice for their programming. Drama's good, comedy's good, horror's good, but it can be limiting. It's popular for selling, but it's like, film festivals is just going to be in its own category, or late night, so that the little kids aren't there. But I have noticed like things like my film Dear Daughter, which is this lovely story about a mom talking about her daughter, at several festivals, especially locally, they would put it right next to like a blood spilling horror movie, and then they'd show this beautiful little family drama, like side by side, and you'd have kids in the audience. I don't know what goes into the selection process or the thinking, but it's it's part of the joy of the whole experience. But I do find things that have strong messages, sentimental value, shot well, of course, they will get, and shorter is good. Like anything under 10 minutes, like 5 to 10 is kind of the sweet spot for people to get more opportunities. Over that, it gets more complicated because they have to think about how much they can program and that kind of thing. So, PG movies. Yeah, it's essentially me too. I do, even the horror movie I've done is technically, it's PG-13, I'd say, just because of blood and stuff. But yeah, I generally try to convince, if I'm not the writer or the owner of the project, I try to convince them to, not go to extreme lengths to cuss and stuff, because really, unless it's like truly adding to the film somehow, and usually it does not.
Charlotte's asking, what's your opinion on Cuckoo Loris?
Love it. It's last time I was there a couple years ago. Last I knew, they would put you, if you're a filmmaker that gets selected, they'll put you in a hotel all week. That was my last experience. I don't know if they still do it. I think they try to do it every year. They don't have awards and award money, so they spend it all on that instead, which is a cool concept. They'll have parties every night, which are pretty, they're filmmaker friendly parties where you can talk. They're not too loud usually, and lots of screening, lots of course, it's a great destination. You can go and have fun on the beach, when you're not watching films. And they do help people get there. So like they'll fly people in, they'll pay for travel expenses. So Kugel is really a filmmaker festival. If you're looking for the Academy Qualifying Festival, you have to go to River Run though. But River Run is a good example of a film festival that it's very selective. So they have the North Carolina premiere, so you can't show at Kugel first. You have to show it them first if you get accepted. And these are all things you kind of look at when you're looking through your Film Freeway browsing festivals. They'll tell you things like this, which is helpful information.
You mentioned the film festival that you had a good day at. What are some other festivals?
Well, sure. I can start with North Carolina. I'm gonna miss some, obviously. Reel to Reel is great. It's a lot of people usually are packed in there. They've got one theater that shows the whole festival, and they got cash awards, so $500 for each category, which is very cool. And that's over at Kings Mountain. I like locally the Argyle Film Festival. They just had that a couple weeks ago, and that's another example where they just pack this theater full of people. So it's a great experience. It feels great. I love, one of my favorites in the past has been the Carborough Film Festival. It's another one where they pack in a lot of people, a lot of enthusiasm. The only reason why they're not my favorite is they have not selected one of my films in like 12 years, I think. I always try. They allow free entry, so I always try every year, and they always reject me. But I love them. So love-hate kind of relationship. And I like, there's a lot of local festivals are great. Like I love Wake Forest, another one. They pack them in, beautiful venue. If you get selected there, a lot of these only pick a few films, though, is the problem. So so I'll be at Wake Forest this year. I've got Another Good Days playing in that, and it's like you're like one of like I think 15 shorts, and then a couple features. So which is awesome if you get selected, but it's hard to get in is the main problem. Reel to Reel is similar. It's like a 1-day thing, so they've got like a pretty tight schedule of stuff to get selected. And some places don't have more than one screening place, right? So they can only choose a few. Yeah, there's a lot of like really great local festivals you can go to that are worth checking out. I saw a couple things in Shelby that were a lot of fun. I don't know. I can definitely provide a list. Most of the stuff in North Carolina I've enjoyed, though. There's a lot of great ones.
Nice. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Saw something.
Silas says, when you're networking at festivals, what sort of objectives do you have? Do you prep any materials or try to guide them to your other work? Are you looking for crew, opportunities, etc.? How do you vibe with other filmmakers? Asking because I suck at networking.
No, it's a really good question. It is kind of hard, actually. So my favorite scenario at film festivals is when they have an area that's designated for people to hang out at. And then it just kind of happens naturally. Like you go and start talking to people. Hey, what do you do? What do I do? And then you change information. And then if you can, you'll follow up after that and see how you can connect with each other more. Places like Julian Dubuque International Film Festival, they've got a whole huge space that's like where the filmmakers get breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like served to them, and drinks all day. And they have their media in there, so they do the newspaper interview and stuff. And then at the same time, you're like, everyone loves talking, so you're all talking to each other. Like you, other filmmakers, the people that run the workshops, which are usually experts in their field. Tryon is very much like this too. It's very friendly. People just talk to each other. People like Ashley introduce you to other filmmakers, and that helps a lot too. Like meet a friend that will introduce you to people. It's helpful. But you can have like a business card, of course, that ends up in a pocket. It's hard to. So I try to like actually get out my phone and have them give me their Instagram right then. So I actually program it. And then I go through later and see who I recently added so I can follow up with people, So socials can help for that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess it helps if you show up with an objective, like, hey, I want to like talk to some filmmakers and I want to see if I can help out on one of their sets. Like maybe that's the objective. And there's gonna be a lot of people who are receptive to that because people love to have an extra hand doing whatever, on set. For volunteers, it's really a big help. So that's one way to get into people's conversation or get into their clique, if you will.
What do you do with your film after its festival run?
I burn it in a pit of films in my backyard. What do I do with it? So a lot of the films are just not released. And that's probably a tragedy. So if you feel like if it's run its course and you aren't trying to sell it somewhere, you might try to, like, if you've had some good luck with it, you may try to, see if there's a platform that'll give you some money to have rights to show it. Like I've had stuff on a TV show called African American Short Films. And like I said earlier about the HD shorts, played a bunch of my stuff for a while. And so there's probably like venues that you may be able to submit it to. But once it's run that course too, and you aren't monetizing it, then the next decision is you want to monetize it yourself, which you can use things like Vimeo and make it like a pay-per-view thing, or you can do other platforms even for shorts. But if you don't want to do that and you just want people to be able to see it and maybe, trade it around and get people interested in what you're doing, then you can just put it on YouTube or something, and start building kind of a following that way, or at very least have a way for your friends, family, and people interested in working with you can see it.
How much for your short films are you keeping track of everything? Like, what's your pre-production look like? What's your scheduling and your call sheets and all that, like producing type side of things look like?
Well, that's a great question. So for something like Another Good Day, it's just really, it's just a few of us. So we just kind of have a chat going and making sure we do a little group meeting on Zoom or something. Make sure we've checked the locations, got permissions, make sure we got our props ready. So it's really very, very casual in the case of like Another Good Day, where it's just a small group. Bigger groups, yeah, it's good to have someone in charge of all that. Like even the zombie film I'm doing on Sunday, we've got an AD that's been kind of doing everything. She's kind of a miracle. She's been doing call sheets, interacting with all the extras, and also we've got kind of a big principal cast. So, and then my co-director Glenn and I have done these Zoom calls with all the casts individually to make sure they're kind of have an idea of what we're looking for their delivery. And he's kind of managed that part of it. So he's been kind of more working on the actor side, and I've been working more on the technical side of directing. And so that it's pretty simple, but it's also like a lot of just the moving parts all have like people in charge of them. We got someone kind of doing catering, and but generally speaking, if you've got like an AD is really good for to keep your cast organized. Then your director of photography, keeping your crew organized, and a lot of times it falls on me. So if you got, sound or a gaffer or just people doing grip electric, I want to make sure when they arrive, they know the layout, where everything's going to get plugged in, where the light's going to go, so that they can be like 2 setups ahead of me when I'm shooting, right? A lot of times I direct and do director of photography at the same time. So that's always something I have in mind. Like what were the next setups, but I also want, the more you can have people take that off of you though, that load off of you, the more you can focus on the composition and the performance and what you're seeing, right? So it's in an ideal world, you are just there watching and hearing on your headphones what's happening and can make sure you're capturing exactly the story you want. The hard part is if you're doing that and running the camera, then you're looking at, it's really 2 different brains, So it's doable, but it's tough. So it's good to have people managing parts of the process to get it off of your back.
Something's bound to get through the cracks when you're wearing so many hats.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big part of it. Or if someone's got to fix it and it's you, then that slows. Obviously, everything stops until you fix it. So, having more people with more hats is really helpful.
Have you ever had a reshoot?
Not really. I think that I can't think of one where I've done an actual reshoot. There's been some times where we didn't love what happens, though we find ways to make it work well. I think usually for me, when something's not quite right, it becomes a happy accident, because then I try to create the circumstance where it becomes right. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, let's say we get either the wrong location or the wrong this or the wrong that, so everything can't be perfect all the time. So part of it's like doing the best job you can with what you've been given, because you can't reschedule a lot of times. It's like you've got, all these people you've organized to be there, and you got to just move forward and create the best thing you can with what's been given. So even like rain days, these are just opportunities. I've got cameras that are rain resistant, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it'll just be a rain scene instead.
Sometimes you're chasing the sunlight too, but
yeah, I do. That's the only time I really yell at people in a nice way, is when we're chasing the sun, like twilight stuff, or like it's just like the last vestiges of light, and you're trying to like capture that beautiful shot. And then I run people. I had one scene where we last year in a featurette called Murder Most Furry. It's not been circulating yet. It's really funny. There's this scene where we has everybody heard the joke? Why is 9 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. I think you've all heard this joke. Anyway, we kind of recreate that scene at a party scene that's crazy at a pool. But we had to do it at at golden hour, and so there was these little delays, and as I was back there yelling at people, hey, back to one, back to one, everybody. We got to shoot again. So it can get kind of hairy when you're trying to get things done at the last second.
Have you ever had to kick anybody off a set or off the team?
Usually people are doing that for me. Like so at this one called the Line Jumper, which I think was at Tryon. It's another 1 day shoot. We've got this giant line of like 20 people just at a coffee shop, and that's part of the thing is this person jumps line, and then someone goes up and confronts him for it, like, hey, you can't cut in front of us. There's like 20 of us, and that's the whole conversation, right? But someone in the back was they volunteered to be in the line, and apparently they were telling our AD that they're from Australia and back there they get paid for it, and what are they doing? And finally they got asked to leave because they were just being too much. It's like, well, you knew this. I mean, if you don't like it, just go. It's okay. So in that case, they I think they wanted to leave, so didn't really have to ask them. Usually, I try to find a way to make it work. Sometimes people are just like, don't follow directions, or I've had people fall asleep, in the background, and you just kind of shoot around them, unless they're snoring, because why, make them feel bad about it. I'm glad that they came, and maybe they'll come to the screening. So it's rare that we have to actually ask them to leave, unless it's just crazy. Like we have too many people on set. When we did Karma Shadow, we had like 100 extras. It was ridiculous. So we at some point we're like, all right, we got to keep rotating them out so that we've got fresh air in here and that kind of thing. So sometimes you just have to give them a time limit. Like I like to really zero in on when we need extras or background actors, I like to call them, because they want to just have them there for like an hour or two whenever they are actually needed. You don't want to have that many people standing around, because anyone's either an actor or a background actor is going to want to talk and play and be goofy, which is what they do. It's fine, but that is very distracting and it's time consuming to wrangle people from that group. So it's better to keep them moving. What was the question? I heard part of the question. A crazy story to tell? Okay, I'll tell one. Okay, so I was shooting the Carrington event. So I directed and edited that one. I was not DP, and I was one of the writers for that. And it's this end of the world story where a solar flare knocks out the power grid. We've all seen Revolution, or at least know about it. So ours came out before that, and we actually pitched it to the Sci-Fi Channel, and they declined it, and then they went with Revolution afterwards, which is almost exactly the same, but different. Anyway, long story short, we're shooting the scene where we've got like 100 people with torches, and then we got this family protecting their home with guns. So it's already kind of a chaotic scene, and there's this epic storm. This year there's this giant thunderstorm coming towards us, and we're like, well, what do we do? We can't reschedule these gazillion people and these flaming torches. So what are we going to shoot this? Okay, so we're going to shoot it. So we just start shooting it. We're just getting as much as we can. We got like 5 people with cameras running around the crowd, getting whatever they can. And these torch guys, they approach the house and they demand food and stuff. And they have a face-off that's like tense, like there's going to be shooting. And that's the whole scene, basically. And so we shot that, and we shot that, and we shot that. And the rain never hit us. If you look at the radar, there's this hole right around where we were filming, and it was everywhere else except for right where we were. So that was like the luckiest thing possible, and it turned out beautifully. Like I said, rescheduling that would have been really probably impossible, because this is another one of these like bare bones budgets. We had some money, but it was like not enough to try to recreate that scene. So I had a lot of luck with weather, and that's just one example of the sky literally stayed open for us, just around our location. I'm trying to think of something else. There's a lot of stories like
failed files, failed audio, or missed audio, or something.
Never. We don't do that. We don't do that kind of thing. Okay, so one time, a horror film called Ledger Domain. This guy like traps this woman in this giant box, and it fills with water, and she has to escape. And she escapes, and he thinks it's just great, and she's terrified because he's psychotic. And this is like his way of like knowing she'll be his new assistant, right? So it's like this crazy person. So what happened with that one was, so I took it home, I edit the thing, and it looks great, but it doesn't sound good. Like there's something wrong. Like we had a sound person, and somehow all their audio was not right. Like there was something wrong with it. So I had to use camera audio for this whole. They had these big long shots too. We're doing a lot of telephoto and stuff, so it was terrible. So what I did was, I didn't want to admit that I had done this, or that this had happened. It wasn't my fault, but I didn't want to admit it. So I told the actors, the 2 leads, like, hey, this movie's awesome, but I'd like to come and dub the whole thing. Would you guys be interested? Because I think it would sound great. And they said yes. So I spent the whole day with them. That's my first time doing any kind of epic dubbing, and it turned out great. It's a lot of work. Don't try it for no reason. And eventually I did tell them, like, yeah, the audio wasn't very good. And so, I came clean. At the same time, it did turn out like better. It's like, it was a great experience, because you see how some of these TV shows where they're like walking through around through offices and behind glass, and they come back to you again. And the whole time they sound the same. And you don't really think about that. You don't think like, why didn't they sound distant when they're distant? You just think, oh yeah, of course they sound the same the whole time. Well, that's all dubbing, right? They're like, or they're doing like, lavs that they're recording, of course. But like, um, a lot of shows do dub, and you can see why, because you just basically plug that in and then add your background and do a little sound design so it sounds like the space, and it just makes sense to the brain. It sounded really good. So it's pretty, it's kind of a happy accident in that case, but it was epic. It was an epic fail on the sound guys part.
Have you ever had to back out of a project?
I've had certainly had projects that were getting close to green lighting and it just didn't happen for funding or whatever. But I think if I ever had to bail on one, I don't know if I've had to. I feel like in anyone that I would have had to back out of, it was kind of filtered out through the early phases, like just talking about it and thinking about it, but I've never like agreed to something and been like, oh no, I can't do this after all. Once I'm in, I've had a chance to know it's good. But I mean, sometimes it's the people, right? Sometimes you're with someone who just is not good to work with. I definitely had one executive producer was pretty crazy. I won't go into detail, but he was a trip. He started out fine, but like towards the end of the production, he was getting a little off the rails there, and so so that was kind of a problem. Though we finished the project.
I think we've had a few people bring productions to our area, and they're not part of our community, and they just are they're just not the same as working with our friends. So it's like,
yeah, especially when you got like a good vibe, because you
Yeah.
can get a lot done with people you've worked with. You know what you're thinking, you don't have to get ready for, the temperament and how to talk to the people. Someone comes on set you don't know and starts yelling at everyone. That's not going to go over well, for one thing.
Yeah, what kind of how do you set the tone and environment for your sets and stuff like that?
I'd say I show them a stick, and once I've done that, then I just try. I feel like my philosophy is really just when I'm directing is just directing people in the right direction. And a lot of that, like I've said, happens before you arrive. Like the whoever's setting up all the place settings or the set design, they know what they're doing. A lot of times you don't know until you're there exactly what's going to happen, but I'll feel confident once we get there that they know what they're doing, and all the wardrobes picked out. So a lot of it's timing. It's all scheduled. Like, hey, you get wardrobe at this time, and this person's helping you do that, and then someone's getting makeup. And you got that all timed out. So it's just a lot of it's preparation, and that way, my job as a director can be just, the AD usually is the one that's like, checking the time, say, all right, come on, so I don't have to yell at people for that. So I'm more just kind of working with the DP, like double checking the shots, feeling good about it, then calling in the people to take places and frame them up and then run through it. Yeah, that's kind of why I like that kind of environment. Ashley actually said something. I think it was like, what do I want to get out of film festivals? Was that it, Ashley?
How do you make the most out of attending festivals?
Yes. Okay. This is very good. I think you really do want to check the schedule, check all the events, and attend a lot of these. You won't know you want to until you're there. Then you're like, well, why was I not going to do it? The great example is, I'll go with Tryon again. You have these great workshops with people that have a lot of experience in the industry. And you can go there and just sit down and have this great experience. And a lot of them are interactive. They'll talk to you and interact. And you'll gain a lot of knowledge. Like, you just have to go to these things. I feel like sometimes they're underattended. I know they get good attendance there at Tryon, but in a lot of festivals, like, they'll get some great people, and people just don't think to show up, or they don't, maybe they partied too hard the last night, so they couldn't come in the morning. Whatever it is, you need to just make it a priority to attend the workshops, do the socials. I don't watch a ton of stuff. I know that's part of the point, but for me, I want to talk to people more. So I'll go to like my short film block, of course, or my feature block, and do the Q&A. And then, of course, you'll meet people and you want to attend theirs as well. So that's fine. But try to make sure you're finding plenty of time to do the actual networking and talking and socializing, because you can't really do that during the movie, obviously. If you're watching movies all day, that you haven't really done it. So that's important too. If they have free stuff, make sure you take that. Swag bag, food. Oh, and I do try to get, I always want to post something. So, post things. So it's good to do the socials too. So find good opportunities to get shots with you and the festival director, or you with your poster, you and your team. If they've got a really cool stage, make sure you get up there, get a shot. Think about those things too. Like, have a list of things you want to accomplish that aren't just goofing around. You can just relax and enjoy it. But if you want to like get more out of it, then have some objectives when you're there to make sure you do while you're there. Yeah. So like Ashley was saying, and sometimes festivals will take photos and that kind of thing. So make sure you're connecting with them to get those for your own personal use, and for your film. So I usually have have folders for things. I'll collect any kind of PR imagery I can. and keep it in there so I can do the Instagram. And I try to post on all the things. I even post on LinkedIn, because I'm always networking to sell my services too. Whether you're an actor or a filmmaker, selling your services should be part of the equation, I think. You could be just doing it for a hobby, but like for me, the more I can do commercially, the more I can do with independent filmmaking, not just because I have more money, but also I have more equipment. So I'll get things for, like, I got a teleprompter. I would have never gotten that for making films, but it can be something that comes in handy for something, right? So these are, it's good to always be doing things to also be making money as part of the process. Yeah, intro emails. I feel like the most effective intro email, if you're going to submit to a film festival and you want to introduce yourself, they don't know you, or you just want to introduce your new project. In that case, you'll start with like, hey, you remember me? But if they don't know them, I feel like the best way to connect with a festival is really emailing them directly and not using like, just send them an email and say, hey, I'm from around here. I can't wait to attend. And and maybe you can feel out what they're interested in, like, hey, this year the theme is this. Would you be interested in this kind of film? Or just kind of feel, I think that a lot of times festivals are really interested in nurturing the filmmaking community, even the people they haven't selected. So there'll be a lot of good response if you just ask them some questions or want to know more or to be connected with them. It's always good to reach out because you can't, like, when you submit with Film Freeway, there's a thing where you can do a cover letter. And that's helpful, but I don't know who else sees it. I'm being honest. I have no idea if anyone's ever seen a cover letter or if ever sent this whole time. But they do see the emails. You send an email to the festival director, say, hey, I can't wait to be there. They're like, oh, that's great. Towards the actual festival, they'll be very busy. So don't be surprised if you don't hear much from them. But especially the months before, you got an opportunity to maybe connect and say a few things and feel out more and then have a better chance of submitting something that they would be interested in programming.
Yeah, I was gonna say cover letter. I don't know how many people. A lot of them, are copy paste the same letter.
Not the two, yeah.
Every festival, and so you kind of get a little bored. Sometimes it does help a little bit when you're getting down to like the nitty gritty of picking like final films and stuff like that too.
That's a great point. Absolutely.
But I do know, being on the festival side, that sometimes those cover letters, you see so many copy paste ones. Yeah, 10 more minutes.
Let me show real quick. I'll jump on here. I'm gonna share my screen again since I have that magical power, and I'm gonna go to Another Good Day again, or should I show you a different one? Let's go to we'll do Dear Daughter. Sure. Okay, Dear Daughter. So something I like to do with discussing the film, especially since this is also a place where people can come and it's like a web page for your film as well. It's not just for the festival people. You can set this up. You go to privacy and you can set this up to limited. And then you can also create your own unique links. This way it's filmfreeway.com/deardaughtermovie. So someone could click this and see this, right? So they see the trailer, they see the awards. And so that's why I go and add a lot more information than I need to in the little section where you describe the movie. It's really two purposes. One is to for people that want to come to your webpage, like your friends, family, or other filmmakers, and just see what your film is about. This tells it to them. But also, even the people in the film fest, they're selecting the film. I like to put the most important things at the top. Like if you had, a big actor in your movie, you just stick them right at the top. Like, hey, Tom Cruise is in my movie, by the way. Now let me tell you about the movie. Or if you're if you're showed at Sundance, my first sentence would be like Sundance Film Festival film. I just like immediately tell whoever's reading this that that's what it is. And you're just like, these are just cues that allow the person that looks at this to take you more seriously immediately. Like I want them to know stuff immediately that makes them interested in like giving this film a fair shake. The more boring it is, the more like they'll be like, oh, words, all right, let me just watch it. And so in this case, they had a really wonderful response from a film festival where they had this 6-minute of reviews from the people that selected it, and it won best film there. So I added that to the top of the description because I want people to see that. I want people to select this. How do I select it? I grab that and then like watch what they said if they want. If they don't, it still says cool stuff, so that's good. And I always put my wins at the top. The boring just selections can be at the bottom, or maybe you can skip them if you have enough wins. It's up to you. But like that's well, as far as the main page goes, let me go back to that so you understand what I'm looking at here. I don't know how many of you have used this, but for Dear Daughter, if I go to my let's go to my edit page, edit project. Here we go. So when you're creating it, you've got this this is that little brief synopsis where I literally flood it with lots of stuff. So I put my synopsis at the top, but then I put anything big at the top. Since it's a co-directing thing, I want to make that very clear at the beginning. And also there's a section where they put for directors. And it's a co-directing thing. Well, it's not right here. Sorry. sipping around. So I had to do something special there. I'll come back to that. But this is a true story, so I'll make sure they know that immediately. And I put my wins here, but then you could also go to the actual section that shows your screenings, and then you can have all your screenings here. So we've got the ones that didn't win on here as well, of course. If it's a big one like Sundance, I'd have at the top whether we won or not, because it's, you know, it's Academy Festival. You want to brag about that, and people are like, oh, this is something I need to pay attention to, you know, that kind of thing. If you've got news or reviews, you can put that. They got a section for that. They got a section for your website, of course. But being since this is a co-directing thing, I put a picture of both of us on here so you can see that we're the co-directors. And then we just take turns describing ourselves as the directors. I have her description first, mine second, in the director biography section. If you're directing your own film, it's your film, that's fine. Now, I'll tell you the secret to this and why I do it. If I'm going to do it, I like to work with people in a co-directing capacity because it's a great experience for them. Especially this is her first film I think she directed. And so I can kind of be a mentor, but I also like to be the right kind of representative when I show up at the film festival. So, but for good or for worse, a lot of festivals and filmmakers respect directors more than anything else. So they're like, oh, you're the producer, okay, thanks. And then oh, this is the director. Let me talk to this guy. Right? It just happens. It doesn't mean it's a good thing. It's just what happens. So I like to be, when I show up, I want to be able to represent as a director, and I want her to be a director. And she was. It's not like it's not what happened, but it's still nice. It's good to have that if you can. Like I could just call her the writer, but she was, you know, her direction was super important to the film. So we definitely, it was a pure collaboration. It's definitely being honest, but it's also important because I want her to show up at a festival and them to talk to her with the kind of level of respect for making this movie that she deserves. Because this is all her vision. This is her actual real story of her daughter and then her granddaughter that was very special.
Do you find it's more producers that are ones in charge of submitting for the festival to, or the film to festivals, or
I think it's more it's usually the directors, sometimes like the executive producer, the people that have funded films in my case tend to be the writer and executive producer and of course owner of the film, and so they have an interest in you know, of course, circulating as much as possible, and so they'll submit it. Any film that I'm directing, I submit it, you know, myself quite a bit, whether they are in the case with Vanessa, she and I both did. So part of the challenge was to make sure we're not double submitting, though I know it definitely happened. We try to catch it. Sometimes film festivals will catch it and they'll refund one of them, you know, so it's something to be careful about. But yeah, I think the directors or the filmmaker, in the case of like Another Good Day, where, you know, I would consider myself a filmmaker, does most of the submitting, generally speaking. Now, if someone that's like hired you to make their work that they're trying to, you know, make into a feature or something, they might submit it a lot to even more specialized festivals. Like some are looking for TV series and that kind of stuff. So really depends on what your goal is to what kind of festivals you're going to submit to.
And are you having to agree on what festivals to submit to, or are you just kind of leading that charge?
Well, if someone wants to spend the money, I mean, it's fine, unless it's like there's something wrong. There's not like a lot of festivals you wouldn't want to submit to out there. There certainly could be, you know, if it's but it's more about wasting money if it's not one that serves your cause or, you know, gives you better visibility and that kind of thing.
So even if you're not submitting, you're using Film Freeway. It's just kind of a resume of films.
Yeah. So it's a great way to kind of have a easy done website for your film, and then everything's there. So you can like when you do want to submit it, you just one click, you're done. You know, once you've plugged in everything, you're ready to go to submit to anything you want to. And that's what's special about it. Like it's also what's devious about it, because you could lose a lot of money just easily clicking all these submissions to things, and people are prone to do, you know, when they get excited about their film. But there's also like a lot of opportunities there's some free festivals, there's some cheap ones. You can always try it out. Plus you can go all over the world. Like I've had a bunch of stuff in India and other places, and it's really cool to see audiences all around the world like paying attention to what you're making.
My next question is, other than optimizing Freeway and utilizing intro emails and social media, is there anything that you can think of that filmmakers can do to help film festivals get excited about their film? And then my last question is, how do you go out and make festivals excited to
I'll start with the second question. So I do on Film Freeway, you can do region. So I'll put in North Carolina, and that's how I usually just do a random search at least once a month or once every couple of weeks, just to see if anything new pops up. So that's how I pay attention when like something, because they're not always available, right? So like once the submissions are over, then there'll be a period of time where you can't submit again, and then they'll open it up for submissions after a period of time. So you kind of have to pay attention. You can also like favorite them, so they'll tell you when they're back for submissions. But that's also how I see brand new ones. So if a new one pops up, I can see it on Film Freeway by searching by region. Another way is at festivals. Sometimes representatives of other festivals will show up, and that's your chance to meet them and also find out what their festival is about. And it's also an opportunity where you can get them more interested in possibly programming you. Ways that you can get them excited about you. If you have something to offer their festival, like a workshop or something you're really good at, you can make that part of the package. Like, hey, I'd love to come to your festival. First of all, they want to know if you're coming. So if you can make it, make sure they know, because that will increase your chances. If you can offer them something, that helps, because they can think about, well, we could do this cool FX workshop while I'm there, and then they might want to do that. Sometimes they pay for these things, but sometimes it's by, volunteer kind of thing. And so that's a way to increase your chances while meeting people and having the whole experience. Even if your film wasn't selected, that'd be a cool way to go and still do networking and enjoy the film festival. And some other ways that you can get noticed. One thing I've done in the past with like features, so like with Box Brown, when that was rolling out, and that was at Tryon as well. So it's feature films, like 90 minutes. And so with something like that, where you're like more invested and you want to really get people to pay attention, then you can do things like a national press release, which we did do. So we had multiple articles published, which were available. A lot of people got the distribution of which, if you have a company do it for you, then there's a lot of visibility, and so people will see it. Plus you get great articles written for you, so you can like use those to help promote your film. But that encourages them, makes people more interested in, because part of what a press release is it's telling them why it's an important film, why people want to watch it, why you need to show up and select this film for that matter. And something else I've done in the past, which has been effective, is if I have a film I'm really trying to push and it wins something pretty good, I may update film festivals and say, hey, I just wanted to make sure you knew that I won this award for awesomest movie ever. And this is an update. Like, I'll make it sound like it's a regular update, but it's really telling them, hey, take a closer look. I think you've got yourself something important there that you should probably select. In the past, I've had a lot of success actually in the past with doing that with the Emmett Till movie. Part of it's because I knew I had something good, so it's easy to like really push something at people that's really good. If it's something that's just purely entertainment, that can still be successful, because maybe how it's done is really interesting or intriguing, but it's easier to do with something has got like a lot of social impact, because you can like emphasize that, or something they could really have great Q&As with, or they can maybe be in conjunction with the workshop, like I said. So the more you can make it sound exciting to have this, and if you have an audience, like locally there's a school that wants to attend, throw that in there too, because more audience is definitely an enticing part of the process. I don't know how you could prepare for that, but like there's definitely ways to through public relations and through media blasts and things to get people's attention. And nonprofits, there's a lot of like different places you can send your invitation to get people interested.
Well, thank you so much. What is the best way for people to reach you?
Yeah, so you can reach me. You can find me at robunderhill.com. And through that, it's all the links are there, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, or you can message me through that. And I'm easy to reach, and I'm happy to chat with y'all about what you're working on and ways I can help. And of course, through especially Facebook and Instagram, I do post updates on films I'm making, that sort of thing. So if you're local and want to get involved, that's certainly a possibility that we can do that.
Say one thing that I learned from you. You created a short about it on Facebook.
No, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I haven't done that lately, and I want to do it again. So once again, the idea is I post like the poster, maybe something really good. It's a great image that people want to like anyway, or it's like a group shot that looks really well done, and so people want to like it anyway because of that. And then you describe the film, and then underneath in the comments you'll post something like it won something. So you put the laurels in the comments, and that'll bring that main image back into people's feeds, and then people that haven't already liked it can like it again, or if they've liked it previously, they'll see the new image and they might like that, and that of course just gets it a lot more views for that one post. The problem is when you post a lot of stuff, then it gets diluted and lost and you can't find it, and so this is one way where you can really isolate the message or the poster or whatever, and keep keep that like in the spotlight. Otherwise, like I said, like I've had posts where it's like, this is great and this is great, but it's two different posts. So people like one and then they won't maybe see the other. So things get diluted. And that's, yeah, I'm glad you noticed that because that was a cool strategy that seemed to be working for getting the information out.
Thank you so much. If anybody's watching and get in touch with him, go to his website. Rob is super. I was chatting with you, so I'm sure he would be really open to continuing this conversation. And we hope to see you at Trenton when we get to see you.
Everyone must go.